What is up, Bay? Welcome back to Advent of Code. We got day 4 today, camp cleanup. The gist of the problem today is that we're cleaning up camp, and everybody's been given section assignments, and those assignments have time, so it's a scheduling problem. And we want to look in part 1 for people who have full schedule overlaps because we're trying to be more efficient with our scheduling of elves, make them work for us. So the question it's asking, in how many assignment pairs does one range fully contain the other? Let's hop into that here. The way I'm going to solve this, I'm going to import the read file function from FS library. This is just a comment I made to myself to remind me what I'm doing. And then we're reading in the file, so I've got the input.txt. So this is what the input looks like. We can see back up above here for the first few pairs. First elf is assigned to sections 2 through 4, and the second elf is assigned to sections 6 through 8. So we're just going to read these through and get our section assignment. If there's an error reading the file, we're going to throw an error. And the first thing we want to do is turn the input into an array of strings where each string is a line. And then I'm going to declare a global variable here called full overlap tracker. This is just going to track the number of full overlaps that we have. And now for each line within that lines, we're going to define indexes we can use to get the start and end assignment. So the first dash is the index of the dash. The second dash is the index of the first dash plus, so we're starting at this index and then advancing one, so then we'll find the next dash. And then we get the index of the comma, and we're going to use these indexes to get the values that we want. So start 1 is the substring from 0 to first dash, end 1 is from the first dash to the comma, start 2 is from the comma to the second dash, and end 2 is from the second dash to the end of the string. Now we're going to check for a full overlap. And note that these are strings, so we're going to parse those into ints with the parseInt function. But we'll define a variable called has full overlap. And to do that, we'll run a function that we're going to define check full overlap. Check full overlap is going to get the start and end values that we define, and we'll parse them as ints. And now let's go ahead and define that function. So we know that function takes 4 inputs, all of number, and we want it to return a Boolean true or false. First, we're going to check if the first elf's assignment is overlapped by the second elf's assignment. And for that, if start 1 is greater than or equal to start 2 and end 1 is less than or equal to end 2, then we know to return true. And now we have to do this for the second elf as well. So we'll check start 2 greater than or equal to start 1 and end 2 less than or equal to end 1. If that condition is true, then we'll have this function return true. Otherwise, we know there's no overlap, so we return false. Coming back up here, if there's a full overlap, we know we want to increment that tracker variable, right? So if has full overlap is true, then we will increment by 1, and we can console log full overlap. Let me save, bring up a console, and run this, and we see full overlap tracker of 538. Come back to Chrome here, and 538. For part 2, we want to check for any partial overlaps. So we check for full overlap here, but now we're going to look for partial overlaps like this. So we just can do actually something pretty similar. The question is, in how many assignment pairs do the ranges overlap? But now we're going to check for partial overlaps, and to do that we'll make a function very similar to what we did down here, but we'll modify it for partial overlaps. To get started, we need to define our variable partial overlap tracker, set that to 0. And now we're going to define that partial overlap function. This takes 4 numbers, just like full overlap did. And we know if the end 1 is greater than or equal to start 2, and if start 1 is less than or equal to start 2, then we return true. And if end 2 is greater than or equal to start 1, and start 2 is less than or equal to start 1, then we return true. Otherwise, we return false. So just a little bit different conditional statement here. And back up, we can define a variable has partial overlap, call that function, pass in those same values. Probably could have saved these as variables since we're passing in the exact same thing, but hey, that's all right. And then if that returns true, we want to increment our partial overlap tracker, and we'll console log that, save, let's run, 792, back to Chrome, 792 is the right answer. 2 more stars, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for day 5. Catch you later.
Yeah.